My girlfriend told me to stop seeing my daughter because she's not even yours. So I kicked her out of my life forever because no one will ever come between me and the little girl I've loved, raised, and promised to protect like my own, even if we don't share the same blood. She's my daughter in every way that matters, and I'd choose her over anyone every single time. I 24M have been in a relationship with my current partner 22F for just under a year now. Things have been mostly good between us, and I genuinely thought we had something stable and promising. That's why, when she approached me a few days ago and said, "Can we talk?" my heart immediately dropped. My mind jumped to the worst-case scenario. I thought she was about to end things. But what followed wasn't at all what I expected. It was worse, in a completely different way. Before I dive into what she said, here's a bit of background to help make sense of everything. I'm the father of two beautiful little girls. One is 4, the other is 2. I became a single dad at just 20 years old, shortly after my first daughter was born. Her mother walked out on us not long after the birth, and from that point on, I stepped into the role of a full-time single parent. It was overwhelming at first, as you might imagine, but I've grown into that role. My daughters are my whole world, and I wouldn't trade being their dad for anything. Around a year after becoming a single father, I met my ex. She was heavily pregnant at the time, and like me, staring down the barrel of single parenthood. Her child's father had abandoned her too, leaving her with no support and a baby on the way. We found comfort in one another's shared experience. Over time, our bond deepened, and we built something like a family. We were together for almost 2 years. During that time, I didn't just accept her daughter into my life, I embraced her. I raised her as if she were my own. From diaper changes to bedtime stories to comforting her through tantrums and teething, I was there. She may not be my biological daughter, but in my heart, she was mine. We were a blended family, imperfect but full of love. Both of my daughters are full-on daddy's girls, and honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. There's a kind of bond between us that's hard to describe. It's pure, unconditional, and grounding. They've given my life so much purpose and direction. From the very beginning, I've never once questioned my role in their lives, not even for a second. I've been their constant, their comfort, and I've always tried to be the kind of father they can feel safe with. Now, my ex-partner, the mother of my youngest, struggled with significant mental health challenges. She was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and bipolar disorder, and while I tried my best to support her, things eventually fell apart. The breaking point came when she was unfaithful. We tried to work through it. We even went to couples counseling for a while, but in the end, it became clear that the relationship wasn't sustainable or healthy for either of us, especially with kids involved. We ended things on civil terms. There was no explosive fallout, but even as we closed the chapter on our relationship, I made one thing absolutely clear: I wasn't walking away from our daughter. I had been her father in every way that mattered, and I promised her out loud, face to face, that I would always be there for her. It wasn't an empty promise. I meant every word. Ever since, she's been staying with me regularly, weekends for sure, and sometimes a few days during the week depending on what's going on. It's been our rhythm, our little routine, and it's been that way for over a year now. Fast forward to the present. Not long after that breakup, about a month later, I met the woman who is now my current partner. At first, I wasn't looking for anything serious. In fact, I went into it expecting a casual fling. But sometimes life has other plans. From the moment we started talking, something just clicked. We ended up spending the entire night together, not in that way but just talking, laughing, playing games, and genuinely connecting. It felt so natural, so easy. I wasn't expecting it, but it was nice. And right from the get-go, I didn't hide a thing. I was upfront about my life, about being a single dad, about the 2 girls who mean everything to me, and especially about the unique situation with my youngest daughter. I explained that while I'm not her biological father, I still treat her as my own and always will. At the time, she didn't bat an eye. She told me she was fine with it. She never asked many questions, never showed any signs of discomfort, so I assumed we were on the same page. But, as I would soon find out, that wasn't entirely the case. During the talk, what I thought would be just a serious but manageable conversation, my partner admitted something that completely blindsided me. She told me, point blank, that she was uncomfortable with the fact that I'm still involved in my youngest daughter's life. And, by extension, still connected to my ex's life too. She said it made her feel overlooked, like she was playing second fiddle in a situation she never signed up for. Then she said something that truly cut me to my core. Her exact words were, "You can't possibly love her as much as your actual daughter. She's not even yours." I felt like the air had been knocked out of me. That sentence, those words, stung deeper than she could have imagined. I've never made any distinction between my girls. Never. The idea that someone I loved could look at one of my daughters and reduce her to not really mine just because of biology, it was devastating. To me, love isn't about blood. It's about presence. It's about showing up, again and again, no matter what. I'll admit I didn't handle it well. Things escalated quickly. Voices were raised. Hurtful words were exchanged on both sides. I let my anger take the wheel, and in the heat of the moment, I told her to leave my house. What made it so much worse, what really makes my stomach turn, is that both my daughters were in their rooms. They heard it. Maybe not every word, but they definitely heard something. It was probably the first time they've ever seen me like that, angry, loud, emotional, in a way I've always tried to shield them from. I can only hope they didn't hear the worst parts, but the damage is done. I hate that I let that happen around them. She left that night and said she was going to stay with her sister. Since then, I've been getting messages non-stop from her friends, from her family, all echoing the same sentiment: she's not even yours. Why do you care so much? Some of them have even accused me of being emotionally manipulative, saying it's unfair to my partner for me to stay connected to a child I didn't father. It's exhausting, honestly, but thankfully, not everyone sees it that way. My family, though they live in another state, have been incredible. They've been calling, checking in, reminding me I'm not wrong for loving both my girls equally. My mom and stepdad even told me they're flying in this weekend to help out and be there for me. That was the first piece of genuinely good news I've had in days. Just knowing they're coming brings a sense of relief I didn't even realize I needed. Still, I'm shaken. I'm confused. I'm emotionally raw. I keep asking myself, am I being unreasonable? Am I holding on too tightly to something that doesn't make sense to anyone else? Am I being unfair to my current partner by maintaining this connection? I don't have answers right now. Just a mess of emotions, guilt, and heartbreak I'm trying to sort through. I really don't know what to do next. Additional context to give a fuller picture, I should add a few more details. First off, my ex, the mother of my youngest daughter, and I are on good terms. We're not close friends or anything, but we remain decent friends and respectful co-parents. She's truly a great mom. She's been working as a flight attendant for a few years now, and that's the only reason my daughter stays with me a few extra days each month, usually around 3 to 4 times, give or take. It's not a constant thing, just something we coordinate when she has extra flights or needs to pick up more hours. We work as a team when it comes to our daughter, and that means a lot to me. Mentally, my ex is in a much better place than she was back when we were together. She's stable, she's doing her best, and while we didn't work out romantically, she's always made sure that our daughter knows I'm still her daddy because I am. Biology doesn't determine that bond. Time, love, consistency, that's what makes someone a parent. As for my oldest daughter, her biological mom is no longer in the picture. She left a long time ago and hasn't really been around since. I don't say that out of bitterness, it's just the truth. She's been MIA, and I've done everything I can to fill that void and be both mom and dad when needed. Now, regarding my current girlfriend, well, technically ex, I guess I should mention that she didn't live with me. We weren't sharing a home full time. She would stay over a few nights a week, and when I could find time between parenting and work, we'd go out together. We were building something slowly, and I thought things were going pretty well until the conversation that changed everything. Since the incident, I haven't heard from her. Not a single message, call, or anything. And maybe that's for the best. When I first wrote all of this down, I was upset. I was emotional. I was trying my best to put my thoughts into words, but it's hard to be articulate when your heart is in pieces. I know some things may not have come out perfectly, but if there's one thing I want to make clear, I will never, ever leave my daughter's lives. That was never even a question. What I really wanted to understand was I wrong to kick her out? Should I have tried to talk it through more? Could I have been more patient, more calm, more understanding in that moment? I'm asking because I genuinely don't know. Also, I've been questioning the timeline of my relationships. Did I jump into something too soon after my last breakup? Maybe. I met my ex over a year after my first daughter was born and after things ended with her mom. And yes, I met my now girlfriend only a month after my most recent breakup, which was fast, probably the fastest I've ever moved on. But it didn't feel rushed. It felt natural. We clicked. It wasn't just about rebounding. It felt like we had something real. To give even more context, my first daughter's mom was my high school sweetheart. We were together for years. She was my first love. We were each other's first everything. But after our daughter was born, something in her changed. She became distant. Eventually, she told me she needed to leave, and she did. It was hard, but I picked up the pieces. I became a dad full-time, and that experience reshaped my entire life. So, that's everything. Or at least, the full picture of what's going on. The update. Honestly, all of this completely blindsided me. Looking back, it felt like I had something really solid with her. She always seemed so thoughtful, doing little things like bringing me coffee, picking up snacks she knew I liked, surprising me with small gifts for no reason. When she stayed over, she'd cook for us, initiate intimacy, and we had what felt like a very affectionate and passionate connection. She'd send flirty photos all the time, talk about our future, and I truly thought she was happy. I honestly believed I'd found someone who not only got me, but appreciated me, and who was okay with the complexities of my life. I felt seen and valued, but now, in hindsight, it's like that version of her was a completely different person. And it's really thrown me. People can be good at hiding how they really feel. She clearly wasn't okay with the life I built around my daughters, but she never voiced it. Not seriously, not until everything exploded. And I was blindsided by it. I had no idea there was this ticking time bomb under the surface. After my post gained some unexpected attention online, I ended up sending her a short message that night. I didn't want things to be cruel or left completely bitter, so I kept it simple. I told her I was sorry she felt the way she did, that it was clear we weren't right for each other, and that my daughter will always be my daughter no matter what anyone says. I said my love for my girls will always come first. Always. I figured that would be the end of it. Later that night, I was in my room watching Moana 2 with my daughters. We were curled up in bed together, and it felt like a quiet, peaceful moment. We all dozed off, something I always cherish. Those little memories, the soft presence of your kids close by. They mean everything. But around 2 a.m., I was jolted awake by loud banging on the front door. It was so sudden and aggressive that my heart shot into my throat. Instinct took over. I grabbed my piece and rushed to the door, adrenaline going full tilt. I had no idea what I was walking into. When I looked through the peephole and opened the door, it was her, my ex-girlfriend. She was completely drunk, crying, and stumbling, pounding on the door in the middle of the night. Her voice was cracked from yelling, and she was clearly overwhelmed and emotional. She kept begging to talk, saying she didn't mean it, that I didn't understand what she was trying to say, and asking me to just please hear her out. And honestly, it scared the hell out of me. Not just for myself but for my girls. They were in the house, possibly awake now, hearing all of this chaos from the hallway. To make matters worse, my oldest daughter quietly came to the door, probably woken up and scared by all the commotion. She looked at me, wide-eyed, and asked what was going on. I knelt down, gently told her everything was okay, and asked her to please go check on her little sister and keep her company while I handled things. She nodded and slipped into big sister mode without hesitation. In that moment, despite the chaos, I felt so proud of her. She stepped up. She understood the importance of protecting her little sister, and it reminded me why I fight so hard to create a safe and loving home for them. They're my world, but I also knew I couldn't let the situation spiral any further. My ex was completely out of control, and I realized there was no talking her down. I called the police and explained that my intoxicated ex-girlfriend was at my door in the middle of the night and refusing to leave. The dispatcher was calm and understanding, and within 10 minutes, a police cruiser pulled up to my home. The officers acted quickly. They didn't escalate anything, but they made it clear she needed to go. They took her into custody, and just like that, the ordeal was over. I haven't heard from her since. Before leaving, one of the officers recommended that I file a restraining order, and I already knew I would. That night sealed it for me. It wasn't just about me anymore. It was about protecting my daughters, their peace, and their home. Then, just a few hours ago, I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered, and it was a friend of hers asking if I had seen her. I paused for a second, and then I said something that honestly felt like a moment of clarity and strength. I told her she's probably still in jail, and she's not my responsibility anymore. She wasn't even my blood. That last line came from a comment on my original post. At first, it stung, but now, it felt empowering to flip it back, to finally draw a clear line and reclaim my peace. Since then, I've blocked everyone connected to her. Every friend, every follower, every message. I'm done. I'm choosing peace for me and my girls. From here on out, I'm just living. I'm showing up every day to be the best dad I can be, because that's the role that matters more than anything else. One day, maybe I'll show this post to my daughters. If they ever feel lost, or question where they come from, or wonder if someone will show up for them, I want them to know without a doubt Daddy will always have your back. To my incredible girls, I am endlessly proud of you. No matter what happens, no matter who comes into our lives or walks away, I will always choose to be your father, first and forever. I can't wait to see the amazing things you'll do in this world. And when my time comes, know this: you were, and always will be, my greatest achievement.